The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated, yes.
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypno Toad.
Scary dog!
Pearson at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to TV Party Tonight. I am your host, Alexis Hejna. Joining me, one of my frequent collaborators and fan of everything 80s, Mr. Jesse Starcher.
Hey, Alexis, my goodness, am I excited to get on here and talk about tonight's topic. It is going to be a blast.
Absolutely. So a couple of months ago, I approached our boss, Mr. Mark Radulich, because the final season of Stranger Things, the trailer had dropped. And I said, hey, so where are we on that? To my shock, he told me that no one on the network had ever reviewed Stranger Things. And I was just like, Shocking. What do you mean? This is like one of the most de facto popular shows.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just like, how has no one on our network wanted to review it? So with the final season coming out, I suggested, and Mr. Jesse agreed with me, that this called for a full retrospective. So we are going to be doing one season a month, counting down to the big finale. And tonight we're starting things off with where it all began in Hawkins. Grab your Christmas lights, your Egos, and your D&D dice. It's season 1 of Stranger Things.
That's right. That is right. Yeah, this was, oh man, I can remember a fledgling listener to the network and participant as well, because I started doing the comic book podcast in 2014, source material for the network, and so that's 2014. This drops 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're 2 years into me being a part of the network at that time, and I don't even know if TV Party was around at that point. But I just remember sitting there thinking, like, we were doing various things if a TV show struck our fancy, but I did not have the, I guess, network clout to kind of come out and suggest it and be like, I want to be a part of it. But it was really something that I thought somebody on this network would talk about, and nobody ever did. And it continued that way. Even season 2 rolls around. Nobody's like, hey, let's go back and talk Stranger Things. I think the closest we got was maybe me and Ronnie got together and talked about it on Screaming Boy. But that's it. Nothing for Radulich and Broadcasting Network as far as I know. So this, this right here, I was chomping at the bit to talk about it with somebody. So I'm so glad we are doing this, because I'm so excited for season 5, and season 4 blew my mind. It's going to be fun to revisit and actually kind of oh my goodness, what's the word? Experience. That's the word.
Mm-hmm. And it's so freaky that no one on the network chomped at the bit, because this Stranger Things is essentially a blended composition of everything that everyone on this network likes.
That's
Nostalgia
true.
For the 80s, Dungeons and Dragons, sci-fi and horror, Amblin entertainment style children adventures.
Yeah.
You know, I just like, I mean, literally, it's like there is something on this show for everyone on our network. I'm like, how has no one wanted this?
Well, here we are. We are bringing it to the masses now. I can't wait.
Absolutely. So yes, Stranger Things started in 2016 on Netflix. Massive runaway hit, launching the career of several actors, including Finn Wolfhard, Millie Bobby Brown, Gad Mazzaro, Charlie Heaton, and helping relaunch the careers of Winona Ryder, David Harbour, Matthew Modine. And again, this is just the first season. We're going to see so many more people brought in, and we'll get to them, but we're going to talk about season 1 and how everything started on that night, which ended the way all nights should end, with a 10-hour D&D campaign, with the boys going home and young Will Byers finding himself in the path of the Demogorgon, being whisked away without even a single trace of where he disappeared to. And we follow our ensemble cast as they try to put together what had happened to this young boy and what this all has to do with a young girl who only goes by the name 11 appearing mysteriously in the woods.
Yeah. Oh, I just remember when the first episode drops. Well, the whole season dropped at the same time. But the first episode, when I watched it, I didn't know what I was going to get. No clue. I don't even know if I had seen. I probably saw a trailer for it, and then I think I watched the first episode and immediately was like, okay, I got to watch this with the wife because I have a feeling she would enjoy this. It's got it's equal parts creepy and that nice throwback. You got your you to the 80s, and you've got the soundtrack, by the way. I want to say this every season, most likely, never skip the intro. All right.
Absolutely.
Always listen to it. That is a staple in our house for sure. But yeah, I just remember being taken like so. I was so surprised at how much enjoyment I had and how on the hook I was watching just the first episode, and immediately was like, okay, got to watch this with the wife. And of course, we only have 8 episodes here to really talk about. You could really absorb this within 3 days and go back and talk to anybody else at the water cooler shortly after it aired, because everybody was binging this. Almost like, I feel like, I'm sure binge culture was around prior to this because Netflix has been out for a little bit, but I feel like this is definitely one of those ones where it had to be binged and you needed to watch that first season, because if somebody else was talking about another episode that you hadn't watched yet, it could very well happen and you're going to really hate them and probably yourself for not watching it. So
I just remember when I didn't watch it when it first premiered, like I was a few episodes in, but the memes, the massive amount of memes that I was seeing all over the place, the pictures of the wall decorated with the alphabet and the Christmas lights, the joking about Eggo waffles, the line, she's our friend and she's crazy. And I saw so much, the fan reaction was was nuts. And I was just like, okay, this is something that everyone's talking about. I got to figure out, it's one of those things where it's like, you hear enough people mention, you go, okay, there's probably something to get into this. Told Andres, like, hey, there's a show. We should probably watch it. We loved it. We have been hooked ever since. We always try to binge as much as we can whenever the seasons premiere. Although I think we do try to break it up into like 3 days of watching, just so we don't burn ourselves out going through the whole thing.
Yeah, I get you.
But the nostalgia dripping in this series is amazing. The first episode alone, I actually wrote down all the references here. We have references to Jaws, E.T., Poltergeist, Elfin Lied, Goonies, Lord of the Rings, just so much. And this is an ensemble cast, and that's part of the charm, I would say, of the series, is that we have multiple viewpoints who are circling around this disappearance. You have Joyce, played by Winona Ryder, who is going through the trauma of missing her younger son, and she's pretty sure she is connecting with him somehow through the electric lights. And to anyone else's eyes, it looks like she has gone off the deep end.
Oh yeah. But that's one of the most one of the things that I noted as I was doing this rewatch of how well, first off, Joyce has lost her son. As any mother would, she's frantic. She doesn't want to believe the worst has happened. And at the time, this first episode, he's lost, and they haven't been able to find a body or anything like that. So she's holding on a lot of hope, but also she Winona Ryder does this great job of portraying this like frantic mother who also may have some mental issues. This is obviously something that could possibly break her mentally. So people are starting to kind of like, and this proceeds for a few episodes. They are, she's Crazy Joyce Byers. She's not exactly all there. And now this thing is going to push her over the edge. And a lot of people kind of treat her kind of hands off because they know the trauma she's going through, but they also don't believe anything that she has to say.
Including the people who start to come around is David Harbour as our sheriff, who, okay, I actually had never heard of this guy before this, found out he actually has quite a filmography before this movie came out, and you realize it's amazing to see the way the series has completely reinvigorated his career.
Yeah.
He has gone from B-list movies to now he's a freaking Avenger.
Yeah. It's so funny because that's one of the notes that I had here too. When I was watching this, the very first episode, I was like, my gosh, David Harbour, did I even know about him going into this? And I feel like I didn't. And him as Hopper, he does such a great job. I mean, he is such a great actor. But yeah, I mean, just like you said, he's Red Guardian. He Violent Night. He portrayed.
Yes, that's one of my that's one of my new favorite Christmas movies.
Right. We watched it there last, and I was like, man, this is our second time watching it when Christmas rolled around. I was like, this thing holds up. This is such a good time. Yeah, I love David Harbour. And just like you said, he had pretty much a decent career prior to this, right? I mean, he was out there acting. I remember reading something about how he was thinking about quitting. Is that right? Like prior to the role of Hopper, and then I think that kind of like made him go, okay, well, I'm gonna stick with this career, and it took off from there. But yeah, him as Hopper in this, he does a great job of this. What you think is going to be this dopey cop, this dopey policeman who's not going to give Joyce Byers the time of day, but then all of a sudden he starts to see things that are they a government agency? I think they are, right? That's
yeah, it's not explicitly spelled out yet, but this does tie into the
MK Ultra.
Yep, the CIA's very illegal experiments in the 80s.
Yeah.
I believe the exact words were it's like to train soldiers to resist brainwashing and such. But let's face it, between Hollywood conspiracy theories, MK Ultra has been blamed for pretty much anything weird that happened in the 80s, not to mention the source of about 80% of characters from comic books who got superpowers.
Yeah, right. Well, I was even in the late 80s, I'm a young kid. I'm like 10 years old, 11 years old. But boy, did I have something about government conspiracies and UFOs and stuff like that. I can remember buying a UFO magazine off the rack at People's News, which was a magazine place down here in Marietta. But I was into that stuff. This is the late 80s. And I remember hearing about MK Ultra and all these things back then. So this show is tapping into that zeitgeist as well for me. This is all stuff that I was into, as fringe science and all this weird stuff that I was just hearing about through weird magazines and stuff like that. And of course, movies. And yeah, so again, touching on something that was popular at the time, and it did a great job of using it to definitely, I mean, it's a main part of this whole series. With some really whacked out results as far as like tapping into different dimension, I guess is what this is, the Upside Down.
Yep. We're going to find out more about the Upside Down throughout the series, including essentially how it kind of started and who sort of formed it. We're going to get into that in season 4. But this show, the pacing is perfect, but it is a very slow burn. And part of that is also through the ensemble cast. Because like I said, we have multiple viewpoints, but they're all discovering the truth at the same pace in their own way. In addition to Joyce and Hopper, we also have our crew of Will's friends, Mike, Dustin, and Lucas, played by Finn Wolfhard, Gatton Matarazzo, and Caleb McLaughlin. His D&D friends who are determined to figure out what happened to their buddy. And that's when they stumble across Millie Bobby Brown as 11, who just stole the show and has gone on to become an A-list actress by this point.
Yeah, funny note that I came up with while I was watching, and I didn't realize this until I was doing some searching, but I think 11 was 11 when she was filming this, which is interesting. Millie Bobby Brown was 11, I think, when this was being filmed. So neat little bit. But yes, she turns out to be a, fantastic actress as well. She's, there's been a couple movies that what was the Sherlock Holmes ones? Enola Holmes?
Yeah, Enola Holmes, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what else she's been in since then. I know she's been in a couple other things. Oh, she was in the Godzilla stuff.
Yep, she was in the Godzilla movies. I hate to say it, it kind of shocked me that the pictures that came out of, I want to say it was her 18th birthday party, because she's wearing a backless, strapless, thigh-high split dress. Just screaming sexiness. And I'm just like, this is the kid that we saw running, through the woods in a t-shirt, who could barely. It's so weird when you see a child grow and suddenly become something like that. It takes a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is great as 11. We come across her running from something, wearing a hospital gown, having telekinetic powers. She barely speaks. She has no real understanding of social cues or how to interact with other people. This poor girl, we've learned, has spent her whole life in a lab being tested on, because anytime, and I would say the United States, but let's face it, any country comes across something with a new and unusual power, someone is inevitably going to say, how could we use this for military benefit?
Yes, let's weaponize it.
Exactly. She has been forced to do studies to spy on the Russians. This is dripping with Cold War.
Yep.
And we're going to learn more as the series goes on. But she is fascinating. When she comes out in episode 4, they give her that pink dress, that blonde wig. And I just remember looking, I was like, and 1 million cosplays were born, ladies and gentlemen. I have seen so many girls dress up like that, especially the ones who learned how to take a cardboard box and make it into a purse, and they made Eggo boxes into purses.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, she, as a character, the character 11, when she shows up, that's a big part of the mystery of our first few episodes, what she can do, who she is, who's chasing her. She's central to the Stranger Things mythos here. And they again, you called this a slow burn. A lot of that is built into trying to learn who 11 is. And they're not rushing it, which, one of my notes was definitely the pacing of this, as slow as it is. The thing is that 8 episodes hit and I want more, and
yes.
If it was agonizing pacing, I wouldn't want more. So I think as far as slow burn goes, it's well-deserved because the payoff is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And there, like I said, a lot of the buildup is also the fact that, again, 11 doesn't really understand what she has done and how to communicate that with other people. She has only talked to other lab technicians. The guy running the lab, played by Matthew Modine, who she just calls Papa, and is definitely cashing in his creep card for that role. Yikes.
I don't know if I'd seen Matthew Modine in anything for a very long time until Stranger Things hit. I know he'd been in some classic 80s stuff, but it'd been a long time. Hey, what's up, Josh?
Welcome back.
He joined us.
Yeah, he was watching our review of weapons last night. Welcome back, man.
Yeah, he joined us there when we talked about some comic books this past Monday, me and Mark.
Awesome.
So yeah, welcome back. Appreciate you watching.
So let's see here. Let me go through my notes. And again, talking about these kids, this show lucked out on these kid actors. We talk so often on the show about how hard it is to get child actors who are really able to convey the weight of the roles given to them. And this is why a lot of times you get older kids who are playing younger versions of themselves. And all of these kids are absolutely amazing. Finn Wolfhard, especially, who we have seen to go on to do really great things. He's amazing as Mike Wheeler. He's kind of the self-appointed leader of the D&D group.
The daughter has like 3 posters in her bedroom of Finn Wolfhard. I think she made a light switch cover out of them. She's a fan.
He's a good-looking kid. You know, we got Gan Matarazzo, who, interesting little tidbit. He was born with, I am going to so mispronounce the name of this, cleidocranial dysplasia. Which basically the front of the skull does not close. Okay, it's like poorly developed or the collarbones are typically either poorly developed or absent, which allows the shoulders to be brought close together. The front of the skull often does not close until later. Those affected are often shorter than average. Symptoms may also include prominent forehead, wide-set eyes, abnormal teeth, and a flat nose. This is a condition that the actor does have, and they decided to work it into his character. So, glad to hear that. You and your
She's glad to hear it. I'm sorry to hear it. We sympathize.
Yeah. So, and again, these kids all have great personalities. I love the way that they use D&D to compare to what is going on in this real world. I mean, at no point is the monster ever actually named the Demogorgon. That's just what the kids name him.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you that Dustin, just like you said, they use what he was going through physically and bring that into the show, and it just works. And the kid leans into it, and plus he's just a great actor on top of it. So imagine being a kid and getting this opportunity and just knocking it out of the park. I mean, they did great. They did a great job.
And again, so many actors are born with, issues like what Gavin has. And I'm sorry, Gatin, not Gavin, kind of slurred my words there. And for so long, that kind of a thing would pretty much be a blacklist from Hollywood. You would never get any kind of acting deals from this. And they have, he's worked through it, and it was a great way to, see some inclusion in the the casting.
Yeah. And again, they knocked it out of the park. Fantastic.
Absolutely. And of course, we have our third group, and that is Jonathan Byers, Will's older brother, who is also kind of launching his own investigation, although for the most part, he seems to be going along with the police. He ends up teaming up with Nancy Wheeler, played by Natalia Dyer, who is Mike's older sister, who has also noticed some strange things, especially after her good friend Barb disappears. Hashtag justice for Barb. You remember when that was all over Twitter?
Poor Barb. Oh, poor Barb. Oh my goodness. Yes, I do. I mean, just adding to the weirdness and the creepiness of this whole series, Barb, best friend of Nancy's, ends up getting lost. And it's at a party, so you never know what could have went down. At least a lot of the people have no idea what could have went down and caused her disappearance. Well, we know, and Jonathan Byers might have got it on film.
Barb is also a really relatable character. I know a lot of us have had friends who talked us into going to events, parties, concerts, get-togethers, whatever. And it's not that it's like actively dislike the other people, but you realize quickly you're not in your circle. And so often you're with friends who are in that circle, and you find yourself kind of left out of the loop.
Yeah. I mean, this was kind of supposedly a party. There's like 5 people there, and she is like legitimately the fifth wheel. So, and unfortunately, I mean, she's trying to ground Nancy at this point, keep Nancy grounded. Don't, get into some stuff that was over your head. And well, unfortunately, she kind of fails in that aspect, goes out and sits at the poolside by herself, and the rest is history, I guess. In comes the upside down.
Poor girl cuts her hand, and the blood triggers the Demogorgon like a freaking great white shark in the water.
Yep. Man.
So much of this, like I said, is really inspired by other sources. And I think one of the big things I noted was how much a lot of the sequences are very Amblin Entertainment inspired. What I mean by that is that there are so many sequences that you swear were directed by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. I was going to say the big one happens near the end where I was like, holy crap, this is E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which, by the way, one of the first ever movies I remember going to the theaters and watching. Hey, I cried. I remember crying at the end of E.T. because I didn't want E.T. to go home.
Oh,
it's a tough movie. You go through and watch it. It's so touching. This is not an ET. The Demogorgon is not an ET that you want to keep around. Different story here, but yes, the bike chase that we get, very reminiscent of Amblin Entertainment for sure.
The scene that really caught me, not just the bike chase, but there's a scene in episode 3. Mrs. Wheeler, Mike's mother comes over to talk to Joyce, see how she's doing. She brings her infant daughter, Holly, with her. And you have the scene, all the Christmas lights are up, and there's a ton of lights in Will's old bedroom. And Holly, this kid can't be more than 3, maybe 4 years old.
Yeah,
she starts following the lights, and they're all going off, and she's standing in the bedroom with all of these lamps and different lights going off. And I just remember looking at it's like, okay, seriously, guest directed Steven Spielberg. It screams his style.
Oh yeah, it's creepy. It is. It puts you on edge. Man. That reminds me of like Poltergeist. You mentioned that earlier. That's another thing, kids going into a room and they're stepping into something that they just don't know what's happening, about the closet door's about to open up and the clown's about to come out. So yeah.
Seriously, that clown puppet freaked me out for years.
Not a fun movie to watch when you were a kid. I think is part 1 where he gets sick and throws up like this. Maybe that's part 2. Anyway, I can remember. Oh my goodness, the dad ended up getting sick, and this thing comes out of him. Anyway, that's more Stranger Things feel. Actually, very final episode, final scene is almost what that is.
Yeah, that final shot of Will going into the bathroom, coughing up the extraterrestrial slug-looking thing, and as he coughs, it briefly turns into the upside down, to which we know whatever was holding him there still has some kind of a grip on him, and he's not done with them yet.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's it's not, I mean, what do you want to do here? I wondered if they knew they had a hit on their hands, because clearly the ending of this season is a situation where, like, hey, if this hits, we've got a way to bring it back, and leaving us there with that little bit of a cliffhanger was awesome. Smart thinking on their part.
Not just that, but we also have 11 disappearing into the Upside Down to take out the Demogorgon and save her friends. But we also get that little hint that Hopper thinks she may still be alive when he puts the food in. I don't know what that box is. I think it has something to do with hunting, but I don't know what it is.
Same here. I have no idea. It looks like a box you'd put potatoes in or something, but it's out in the woods. So, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. If any of our loyal listeners or viewers know what that is, let us know.
It could just be something. Yeah, it could just be something Hopper built too, just, to kind of set it out there, and that's where she goes. But it looked like it had been around for a little bit.
And so much of the season 1, like I said, is so memorable and has quickly become incredibly iconic for fans of not just television, but horror and sci-fi. Again, I dare you to find anyone who doesn't know about the letters and the Christmas lights on the
Yeah.
wall. I mean, how many Spirit Halloween stores that year had that display up?
I feel like, my goodness, I could be wrong, but I feel like, you know how they have on holidays, they have like the Yule log. I feel like YouTube had a Yule log situation where Darth Vader was burning on a bunch of things, and then they also had one of the Christmas lights with the fire beneath it as well, which would fit. I mean, it's Christmas lights, but you had the alphabet up there, looked just like her living room.
There were so many memes that were made where the lights would flash of different letters, and you had to wait to spell them out, and 90% of them were Rick rolls.
Oh, really? That's funny.
N-E-V-E-R-G-O. Oh, for God's sake.
I will also say that if you go to Spotify and check out the Stranger Things soundtrack, I can remember, it was probably shortly after the first season aired. I grabbed the soundtrack and was listening to it with Caleb, and they have some really cool animations just on the sound. I think it's actually when it's playing, it looks really cool. They only do that for very few select albums. I remember just looking at a Star Wars one recently, and instead of the play button looks like a lightsaber that keeps getting longer as it continues to play. So I think there's something that they do. Yeah, they do something with Stranger Things as well. It feels really creepy, but yeah. He's so Jas is saying it's the music of Stranger Things, or is that what he's talking about here?
I think so.
Well, I will say that the soundtrack to this thing, I immediately went out and sought it out because, oh my goodness, the synths on this thing, I think it was shortly before. I think it was before Stranger Things hit. I was watching Kung Fury, which I don't know if you've ever seen or heard of Kung Fury, Alexis, but a nice little half-hour YouTube short, and there is a great synth soundtrack that goes along with Kung Fury, and you can easily find it out there on Spotify. It also has a song sung by David Hasselhoff, so if you're a fan, you're a fan. But anyway, the synths, synth wave, I guess is the genre that it's called. Well, that brought me right back full-fledged into that type of music. This soundtrack here, Stranger Things, does it well.
Definitely. This opening theme alone has just an otherworldly feel to it. I don't know how exactly it's made. I mean, I'm assuming it's just the synthesizer, but it really doesn't sound like anything that you would hear any other place. It's creepy as hell.
Heebie-jeebies.
Very heebie-jeebies. So let me go ahead and talk to you then. Like I said, I know you've been a big fan. What would you say are some of your favorite moments from the first season?
Oh, I've got them all listed. I have them right here. I will go episode by episode if you will permit me.
Please go ahead.
All right. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of them because I was just, every time something was popping up, I was throwing a note out there. But, all right, checked out Ted Wheeler. He is the most checked out dad I've seen in a show in a long time. So this is Nancy's father, who is just like, I'll just let the kids be kids.
This guy is like pure 80s yuppie, down to those thick ass frame Alan Thicke style glasses. Jesse, you still there? Jesse, hello. I think your computer may have frozen. If you're still there.
I got booted for a second. Am I back?
There you are. Yes, you're back.
Oh, my VPN kicked me out. All right, I'm back. Am I back?
VPNs aren't supposed to do that. Yeah, you're back.
Mexico's
I can hear you loud and clear.
Mexico's having problems, apparently. So anyway, okay, episode 1. I'll give a nod to checked out Ted Wheeler, but as far as my favorite moment in our first episode, it's got to be the Joyce's just kind of Winona Ryder's portrayal of Joyce and how she's just kind of she's kind of playing her off kilter, which is very believable for somebody who's going through that type of trauma. And I've kind of already talked about that a little bit. We get our first, I think, look. Do we get a look at the Demogorgon in the first episode? I think we do, because Will's like, isn't he like loading up a shotgun at 22, or is it off panel or off screen? I cannot remember.
We see a little bit of a silhouette of it, but we don't get a really good look at it until much later on. But yeah, that scene of him loading up in the shed, obviously very E.T. inspired. And the way they do it, he looks up, he's scared, the light suddenly dims, and when it comes back on, nothing.
Yeah,
He's gone. The Demogorgon's gone. No sign of them is there. It's just poof.
Just to make you sit there and like wonder, like, what happened? You know, okay, we're starting things off. Kids disappearing. This is very strange. What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 2. I love how Mike shows 11 the wonders of furniture.
Lazy boy.
He's like, hey, this is the couch, and I was like, okay, yeah, really nice. You know, watching those two like kind of bond, and we all have our first boyfriend, girlfriend, and you definitely get that sense of innocence between these two. Clearly, Mike has he definitely feels something for 11. And he's coming of age, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
We do have our first death, I think, in episode 2, which is Benny. Benny is the diner owner where 11 goes and is.
Wasn't that episode 1?
Maybe it was. I have it listed down. I have it listed down here as episode 2 because she goes and sees Benny, but I don't think Benny dies until the second episode. I might be wrong, but either way, we get our first death with Benny, who at first was like, oh man, he's this big gruff, like, diner owner, and he catches 11, and I'm like, oh man, he's going to hurt her. And no, he doesn't. He sits down with her. He's trying to get a rapport. And then the bad guys show up to talk to him about it. And they put a bullet in his head.
It really stretches how the people who are going after 11 will stop at nothing to get her back. And anyone who gets in the way, they're cannon fodder.
Right. Joyce's creepy phone calls also in the second episode really kind of just hammered the tone as to how like just eerie this thing is going to be. As she gets the phone and she knows it's Will, and all she can hear is just him breathing. And that, you know, something that a mother most likely knows. They know when they're hearing their kid. They know even if their kid doesn't say a word, they know that kid is on the other side of the phone. But you as the viewer are like, is it really? Is it really Will? You know, and then of course the phone explodes and she goes in and she's like buying more phones and put it on in my tab. Good stuff. Episode 3. This is where we get the Christmas lights. I mean, I don't think you can get much more iconic than that moment in this. She's buying all these Christmas lights, stringing them up as she realizes that the lights are the way to communicate. Again, she's desperate to find her boy and she'll do anything. The Demogorgon breaking through the wall in that episode too. Holy crap.
Yes, the way she grabs the axe, she can hear something going on. She breaks the wall. She can see Will somehow into the upside down. And again, when she puts up the lights and she's like, what can I do? And you just see RUN.
Run. Oh man. We also start to, see a little bit more of the upside down. We get the spores or whatever, and how, creepy and eerie that is too. Where is Will? Where in the world is he? What's going on? Episode 4. This is, I have listed down here Will's body. Is that the name of 4th episode? Is it The Body?
Something like that. I had actually completely forgotten about the fake death subplot when I went back to watching this, and they were talking. It's like we found a body. I was like, wait, this happened. I don't know why I had just totally forgotten about it, but I do remember that scene of Hopper breaking into the morgue and cutting open the body and finding the cotton. And the way he's just he suddenly realizes that something is wrong, and I love that tipping point in a good mystery when a character finally starts to realize something is going on, and you see the gears in their head start turning. And then wakes up at home, and he instinctively starts trashing his house, and he finds the bug, and he realizes everything that Joyce has said is true.
Yes. And that is what I was talking about before we went on air, that this series kind of did for me. It subverted a bit of expectations. Like, I fully expected to, now Hopper's going to be the subject of ridicule because it's going to seem like he's going crazy. And he also, before he even finds the body, I was fully expecting him to be completely on the fence or on the other side of the fence and not believing Joyce most of the season. Not the case. I mean, just like you said, there's a tipping point. Now this character realizes something is wrong. Who would go to the lengths of creating a fake body for a young boy? What does that entail? So yeah, it was a great tipping point. Great episode, because when he finally goes and he looks at Joyce and he just says, he believes her, lets her know that he believes her. You're pumping your fist in the air. You're like, yes, all right, now these two can get together. Now we got somebody Hopper's a big dude, and he is also, not afraid to knock out a dude. And he can do it.
I'll say, I think that's what appeals to me for David Harbour to play this role, is that he embodies both strength and kindness. We find out pretty early on that his daughter died, I think of cancer. And we see flashbacks later on in this season where we see him playing with his daughter and reading books to her while she's sick in the hospital. And I have no qualms seeing this man being so loving and so kind to his child, and the way he talks to the other kids. It's like, this is a man I would trust to the ends of the earth to do what is right and protect me and the kids.
Yeah. And that's great. I think at the end of episode 4, according to my notes here, we also have Nancy going into the tree portal or whatever that is. And basically the portal to the upside down through the tree. And I can't remember if they end the episode right when she goes through and you're like, oh man, she's never going to get out, or if we get in the next episode where, because that's what I thought was going to happen. I was like, oh, Nancy's gone. We'll not see her again. She'll be in the upside down for a long time. No, she is immediately brought back out by, oh my goodness, Jonathan. Jonathan helps her out, which, by the way, we got, Jonathan and Nancy they're friends here. They're monster hunters, going out trying to find this thing. And it's so cool to see Jonathan, as she reaches her hand out and he pulls her out. So at that point, now you have somebody who has the knowledge of what the upside down is in the real world, and is going, what are they going to do to take care of it? All right. Episode, for some reason I did not. Episode 5 must have just been really good, or I forgot to denote it. Do you have the episode list there by chance?
Hang on a second. Let me pull it up. My only note on episode 5. Thank God Mr. Clark is not questioning his students' interest.
Yes.
Mr. Clark is. Yeah, Mr. Clark is the science teacher. He's head of the AV. I had completely forgotten that this was a thing in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The AV club. Before like podcasts and broadcasting and stuff like that was really a thing that students could get into.
I just to throw this out here, back again in the late 80s, I was a fan of ham radios too. Like, I was going to get my ham radio license as a kid, and did not do that because I realized that there was no way I'd ever own a ham radio. So they're a little expensive. But anyway, it's just little touches like this make this seem so authentic.
And yeah, episode 5 is called The Flea and the Acrobat.
Okay.
Because this is the episode where Mr. Clark basically explains to his students how parallel dimensions can work. And again, it's just like, I love that his students are just talking like, so what do you know about parallel dimensions? I think any other teacher would have been like, okay. He doesn't hesitate. He's like, oh, you want to know about this? Okay, well, I'll explain it to you. And it's awesome.
I don't know. I don't think it's this episode. It might be another episode later on down the line. We've only got 3 left, but they call him up like in the middle of the night when he's on a date,
Yes,
And-
watching the thing.
Yes.
One of the best sci-fi horror movies ever.
Absolutely. And he's like, well, let's talk about this next, when Monday rolls around. And they're like, no, we really got to talk about it now. He doesn't let the kids down. He helps them out and talks them through it and says it tells them exactly what they need to know. So Mr. Clark, is that his name?
Yep, Mr. Clark.
Thumbs up, Mr. Clark.
I also love that episode for one moment in particular. So the kids build a sensory deprivation pool for 11 to go into, because I never really thought about it, but you can't just put float in regular water. You have to make it saline, salt water.
Mhm.
The Dead Sea, and I think they said they put in like
1,500
pounds.
Yeah, trust me.
Salt.
I was sitting there doing the math myself. I was like, how in the world? I mean, that salt, granted, it gets mixed in with the water and you can't see it, but for crying out loud, that amount of salt still is in there. So that pool, not only with the water, weighs 1,500 pounds plus the water. So he can float in regular water. It takes a lot less effort to do it in salt water. By God, 1,500 pounds of salt water.
Yeah, I think it's not so much that you could float, but it's the fact you could float so buoyantly on the top.
Yeah, I would love to try that. Like, I think would the most comfortable I've ever been is when I fell into a snowbank and every inch of my body was supported. I'd throw me in a sensory deprivation tank. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's not just the building of the sensory deprivation tank, which is great. It's the moment at the end of it. So they put 11 in, they give her the blackout goggles. She goes in and she finds Will. He's in the castle, that little fort that he built, which is one of the first places that Joyce looked for him in episode 1.
Yep.
Which I love. I love that tie back. And then the Demogorgon crashes through the walls and 11 pulls herself out of the water screaming, and Joyce comforts her and holds her like, it's okay, sweetie. It's okay. It's okay. And you have to realize that is probably the first time in her life that 11 has been comforted by a mother figure, that she is, because anytime she freaked out about that, Papa was probably just like, okay, write down what happened, put her back in her room. You just, that moment of comfort that she is probably experiencing for the first time.
I get a sense that Matthew Bodine's Papa, he does care for 11 a little bit. Like he's not as cold as he, somebody could be in that position. He's a little caring, but he is obviously more mission focused, and let's go ahead and see what the results are, just like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And one of the other things that they find out during that, the first thing that they find out about that is Barbara's dead. She's laying there and she's got a few things crawling on and out of her too. It's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the Treehouse of Horror episode where they parodied Stranger Things, but there's a line when they're in the over-under, as they call it, and Gil is lying there wrapped up in the tentacles and goes, boy, these vines are good at finding all the holes.
Oh, goodness. A little risque there, Simpsons.
Yeah, but again, I saw Barb with all the shit around her. I'm like, that was literally all I thought of.
We tried to make
it. I think I've watched that Treehouse of Horror more than I have watched Stranger Things.
Wow. Halloween rolls around. We try to make it through the Treehouse of Horrors, and we got we got like into the 2000s. We started from the beginning, made it to the 2000s, and then we stopped at some point. So I'm going to have to go back and start from the 2000s forward. I got to see this parody of Stranger Things.
I watch Treehouse of Horror all the time. It's one of my favorite things to have on in the background, especially since Disney Plus has in their Simpsons collections, they have the horror collections.
Yeah.
Where you could just get all of the Treehouse Horrors. And yeah, I've watched them all so many times. They're one of my favorite things to have on in the background while I'm working.
Yep. All right, moving on to episode 6. I almost skipped an episode. Episode 6 has a couple great moments in this one. This is when they make it to the quarry and this, who was it that it's not Will. Excuse me. It's Mike. Mike jumps off the ledge, and 11 lifts him up in front of the bullies. And then, this was a moment. I mean, you wanted to see these kids get over on these bullies. Another 80s kind of aspect. Granted, still unfortunately continues today, but regardless.
Yeah. So this is where you get the scene of Dustin yelling, "She's our friend, and she's crazy."
And she's crazy. And they take off running. Great stuff. And then we have the Steve versus Jonathan fight, where Steve is involved. I don't even know if he's involved, but we find out later. I don't think that he was, but he's upset at Nancy, and there is some graffiti that's sprayed about Nancy. And then Jonathan, who, by the way, is pegged as a pervert because he was taking pictures of Nancy and Steve at that house from the woods, which is, that is kind of creepy. But regardless, Steve versus Jonathan, you wanted to see this go down, and you were hoping Jonathan would get the upper hand, and he does. And he beats the crap out of Steve.
And gets arrested for it.
And then he gets arrested for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly what happened, so Steve's got these two friends who are total assholes.
D-bags. Yes.
Definitely. And he's had a big fight with Nancy. They're not totally broken up, but it doesn't look good. Well, that's the night that Nancy gets pulled in, or nearly gets locked into the upside down, and Jonathan pulls her out. They go back to her house, and she asks him to stay. She's just been through a very traumatic experience. She's like, "Please, I need someone to sleep here with me. I am really just terrified about what I've gone through." You don't blame her.
Yeah, Jonathan's very honorable about it. They're clearly friends, and even though Jonathan, they may look at something later between them to blossom, but that's not the case here. They are very much friends at this point.
Yeah, it's not till the second season where we get the classic line. "So, Jonathan, how was the pullout?" What?
Oh, jeez, crying.
I don't know why I always remembered that line.
I forgot it. Boy, I can't wait to see it happen here in the or hear it when it comes on there in this season 2.
Yeah, so he spends the night. That nothing happens, but then after they leave, Steve comes to the house. He does the whole 80s boyfriend thing of climbing the lattice to get into her room, which is so cute, but he can clearly see someone else slept there. And he's upset because it looks like Nancy's cheating on him, and his two friends decide to start spray painting Nancy Wheeler is a slut.
Yep.
And Steve it's essentially I don't think he wanted them to, but he's too upset to tell them to stop.
Yeah. And granted, okay, they did it. Now let me see if I can use it as a weapon against Nancy. And of course, Jonathan is with Nancy at that time. But yeah, they get into this huge fight. Steve gets the crap beat out of him and gets arrested for it. So then we hit episode 7. So here we go with like some of the biggest moments, I think, of the season. We get the bike chase and the van flip, which this is the government has showed up. They know where 11's at. The kids on bikes, trademark something, I'm sure, because I know that's a role-playing game.
We talked about this when we reviewed the Skeleton Crew, plug, that golden era of Hollywood where kids on their bikes could solve any problem.
Yep. So the kid, and at this time, I think it's, oh my goodness, what is his name? I had his name here. Lucas. Lucas is doing some investigation and figures out that they're coming after 11. They coordinate some stuff. They start escape. They get on their bikes to escape. And the vans are coming in, and 11 is on the back of Mike's bike and flips. This van is coming right at him and flips it.
Such a cool shot.
It is an awesome shot. Slow-mo and the music and everything as this van just kind of flips over them as they ride under it. It's awesome.
And again, I love even just how Lucas stumbles upon this. He gets into a huge fight with them over 11.
He's a bit jealous, I guess, is probably the best way to put it.
Well, and he also has realized that unfortunately 11 they were using the compasses to look for the electromagnetic field. Smart move, by the way.
Yep.
And 11 is so terrified of going back that she is psychically or telepathically altering the compasses, and they're going in circles.
That's right.
And Lucas has realized something's not right with this girl, and I'm tired. And Mike is obviously very smitten, and he's defending her. And Lucas is like, "Oh my God, we've been your friends for years. You're throwing us under the bus for this girl,
and you're not going after Will either. That's the other thing, is that they're wanting her to help find Will. And granted, it took Lucas forever to, number one, believe that she could do what she could do. And then finally, after all this evidence that he got to see, specifically the poor Millennium Falcon toy that got dropped on the ground 3 times, which broke my heart. I kept hearing it hit the ground. And I know that's all Foley, but whatever. They better have had a pillow underneath of it. But he finally is realizing that she can do what she can do. And now she doesn't want to go back. And she's kind of avoiding trying to help and find Will. And that really sets him off. And of course, now things are definitely escalating. Not only that, but if she can do what she can do, there was a couple moments that they explicitly said when the bad people show up, it's bad. And they make you realize that you could potentially lose your life dealing with the federal government here, or the government agency that's coming after you. So there you go. But anyway, Lucas's motivations, I guess. So anyway, kids on bikes. I interrupted you.
But like I said, so Lucas goes off on his own, but then he realizes with the compass, it's still working. And he just kind of puts 2 and 2 together. He's like, 11's not here to mess with this. And Dustin was right about the electromagnetic field. He figures this out on his own, and he does his own little mini investigation. He's still upset with the kids, but he wants to find Will, and he knows finding this gate is the best lead. So this is one of those shows where it's like so often in the hands of lesser people, this would be an incredibly contrived 3rd act breakup kind of a scene, but it works. We understand where Lucas is coming from, and we understand why he continues the investigation. It never feels like, oh, so he just happened to stumble across this. No, he figures it out.
Yeah. And then I think what I believe is probably, it's got to be like at least number 2 as far as my favorite moments of this season. And that is when Steve shows up at Mike's, no, let me try it again. Steve shows up at Jonathan's house and finds Nancy there. And of course, immediately goes into overprotective jerk boyfriend mode, even though they are clearly at odds at this point, but doesn't realize that he's stepping into a monster hunting expedition, and they are trying to lure out the Demogorgon and are in the process of doing so. And at any point, I was like, just like you said earlier, this guy is food for the Demogorgon. Steve is dead. That's got to be what happens, right? No, does not happen. Does not happen. Dude gets involved and immediately was like, his head explodes because he's just trying to figure out what in the world is going on. Why do you have a bat?
Why do you have a bat? Why do you have a gun? Why is there a bear trap on the floor? Why won't you let me apologize? He loves Nancy, and he's trying to do right. He's like, I didn't want to be a part of this. I want to make up and, go back to being your boyfriend. He's trying to be a good guy.
Just watching him freak out. Like, what is going on? What is going on? Oh my gosh, what is going on? And then you're expecting him, like I said, I think they end up kicking him out of the house, and he's about to get in the car, and he turns around and he sees the lights are flickering, and he goes back in. Oh my gosh, grabs the bat. I mean, he's helping him out. And I was like, that is what made this show so good to me, is that they completely tossed what I thought was going to happen out the window. And Steve becomes one of the best parts of this whole series, in my opinion. I mean, he's definitely a crucial part to it. So
yeah, like I said, I forgot so much how Steve was such a jerk, and because he is such a crucial part of this series going forward, you forget just what he was like, because by the 3rd season, he's best friends with these kids. You got the scene where he's working at the ice cream parlor in season 3, and Dustin comes back from camp, and Steve's so excited to see him. And it's like, you're a high school student who's excited to see a middle schooler, and you're acting like this is your best friend. And to anyone else, just looks like the dorkiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And he goes to such lengths to help out, to protect the people he loves, and he is such a great character. And credit to the actor. Oh my God, what is this dude's name? Joe Keery, who's again, his career has really taken off, and it's great seeing him in other projects.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, my goodness, it was just awesome to see that complete 180, just like you said, of this character from the beginning to where we're at here, and as we further go on to the through the rest of the series. And I think that's going to take us to the final episode, the finale here of the season 8, or excuse me, episode 8. And I mean, my goodness, I do have my notes are Steve's accidental hero moment. So maybe we get a lot of the action there in that first part of season or episode 8. I don't remember, but I mean, the big moment that comes out of episode 8 is 11 versus the Demogorgon. I mean, this thing that's a face full of teeth is the best way to describe what the Demogorgon looks like. You got any better description?
Man-eating flower on a giant's body.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky. It's pretty freaky. You know, my goodness, I think it was 2014 when Pokemon Go hit. This is just a memory that flashed into my head. Pokemon Go hits, it becomes like this mega sensation. You could walk it downtown here in our small town and see people playing it, walking down the streets. And granted, that was a pretty big trend for quite a while. I think we were doing this through 2016 as well. And I can remember, hey, there we go. My wife still plays it. So
I play every day. It's fun. It's a fun little distraction and hobby, Yeah.
Not only that, but it's also can get you healthy. I mean, there was plenty of people that I saw that were out there walking because they understood that they could get some exercise while playing this fun game. But anyway, I can remember down in the park, we were playing Pokemon Go or walking, and there was a tree that looked like the tree that's in this episode with this big hollow thing in the middle. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's the Upside Down. That's how, ingrained this show was and kind of affected the way that I was thinking while we were just doing about daily activities, because it had this creepiness vibe that kind of stuck with it. And therefore, the Demogorgon, when you finally get the Demogorgon, the flashing school lights, and it's 11 versus the Demogorgon, what a treat. What a showdown. And quite an ending. I mean, you kind of get to watch 11 and you see her buildup of these powers. Not only that, during this time, we have Hopper and Joyce in the Upside Down going to find Will, which is the other climax that we get to see. Will, they had a funeral. They had a funeral for this kid. They find him barely hanging on to life and bring him out of there. So yeah, our two big moments is the rescue of Will and definitely 11 versus the Demogorgon. Great ending, great finale, and great cliffhanger too. We kind of talked about that already, but that's kind of all my big moments for each episode. Thank goodness there's only 8. This is one of those series or one of these seasons. I said I wanted more earlier, right? Like I wanted more, and I believe they knew what they were doing by pacing things out so slow, because the finale was so explosive and just was something that allowed you to anticipate it and had a great payoff. Although I wanted more, it was one of those things where it was like perfectly done. If there's only 8 episodes here, there's a very good possibility if you would have stretched it to 10, it could have got a little as slow as this thing went. It may have got on your nerves a little bit, but that also gives you the opportunity. They built a world with this first season because they had all of this stuff that wasn't just all fleshed out. We got little bits and pieces. What is the Upside Down? Our cliffhanger is Will going to be okay? He's throwing up slugs. That's a problem.
Where's 11? Is she coming back?
Right. There's a great world here that still, it isn't completely fleshed out, and it gives you a basis to go, hey, you guys want a second season? Just let us know. Okay, it's green. Let's go. I loved going back and watching this again.
Me too.
This was so fun and so refreshing. Like I said, this is my third time going through it. When season 4 hit, which, by the way, I mean, we haven't talked about it, but my goodness, spacing out seasons 2 years apiece, that might be a little bit of a stretch, especially if you want these kids to be kids. They ain't kids anymore.
No, I mean, I hate to say, I think that's part of the reason why the Duffer Brothers said they're ending after season 5. Because again, Millie Bobby Brown, our precious little 11, just freaking turned 21.
Yeah. So it's probably good that they're ending it here with season 5. But again, spacing it out 2 years at a time. When the 4th season hit, I told the kids, I said, let's go back through and watch all of them, get prepared for season 4. Did not regret it one bit. The kids loved it. They're, at that great age where they can enjoy stuff like this, as creepy as it is, and kind of, they're definitely scary. They wanted more, just like we did. And then I'm so glad we're going through this again. I'm so glad.
And every season brings something new to the table. There's only been 4 seasons so far, going on our 5th, but there is something that is introduced into every season that is just so much fun. Season 2, we're going to look forward to the introduction of Max and the Mind Flayer. Season 3, we're going to get the big 4th of July celebration. And, oh my God, what the hell
what is that boy's name that shows up? The heartthrob, that's Max's brother? It's Max's brother?
Decker Montgomery. Who before this, the only role I had seen him in was that Power Rangers movie that came out a few years ago.
Right.
And who basically, I think, just showed up and the only audition was, take off your shirt, we need to see your abs.
That's a lot of girls, I assume, when they saw this guy.
Yeah. Oh, and Carrie Elway's coming in 3rd season as well. I think I've joked about this before. Carrie Elway's only plays 2 characters anymore. Cartoony buffoon or cartoony villain.
Who's our guy from Mad About You? I cannot remember his name. He's going to be showing up.
Oh my God. Paul Reiser. And then we have Sean Astin. I mean, my goodness, it's just, it's going to be so exciting. And then, of course, we get the 4th season with the introduction of Vecna and Joe Quinn playing everyone's favorite character, Eddie. And we're going to have a long talk about him and his character and spoilers for what we think is going to happen with him in season 5 when we get there. That's why we're doing this one season at a time, folks, because there is too much to cram in all 4 of these seasons into a decently length podcast, unless you want to check back with us at like 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow when we're talking about the D&D stylings of Vecna and his vampire assistant. Just there's only so much we can cover.
Yeah, we would still have another 3 hours to go at about that point.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Like I said, I am so excited I get the opportunity to talk about it. So look forward to it for sure.
Season 1 was a huge hit. It, like I said, launched the careers of so many of these younger actors, restarted the careers of so many others who have been around for and just got that shot in the arm that they needed. It is amazing. It is fun. And after all this time, season 1 is still fun to go back and rewatch. If you haven't rewatched in a while, I recommend going ahead and binging it. It's 8 episodes. You can get it done in a weekend easily.
Easy.
And this is a great way to get yourself pumped for the series finale that is going to come in on New Year's Eve.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Until then, we will be back next month in September to discuss the retrospective on season 2. Again, we're going to be introduced to Max Mayfield, her brother, or stepbrother, half brother, I don't remember, Billy. We're going to find out a little bit more about the Upside Down. We're going to find out more about Eleven's background, where she came from, and the nightmare that we find out her mother went through. That
episode
freaked me out.
Yep. Terry Ives?
Terry Ives, who we do see in the 1st season, but we don't know quite yet what she has gone through. We're going to find out later, and it may very well, give you nightmares. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that as we also get to look at more 80s nostalgia with Dragon's Lair and Ghostbusters. If you
Color
were a
me
kid in the
happy.
80s, you dressed as a Ghostbusters at least once for Halloween. Admit it.
That's right. That's right.
Did you?
Did I'm sure that I wanted to. I was just talking to somebody earlier this week about when I first watched Ghostbusters, and I mean, I can remember it was on HBO, and what? Oh, I know what brought it up. I kept seeing stuff on Facebook about how Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters was #1 like so many years ago, and I was trying to figure out if I'd heard the song first before I saw the movie. It was probably very likely I probably heard the song first because HBO, I'm sure that, it was in the theaters and was playing the song left and right and probably got #1. But I didn't watch it until it came out on HBO. So I probably heard the song before I actually watched the movie, which I'm curious as to what I thought Ghostbusters was before I actually saw the movie. But regardless, what a film. And of course, if I didn't dress up like the Ghostbusters, I could tell you I definitely owned the Ghostbusters cartoon action figures.
Oh my God, the Ghostbusters toys.
Yeah.
Oh
that's
my
right.
God.
I was lucky enough to get one of those for Christmas.
Who do you think had a more creative collection of toys? Ghostbusters or Teenage Mutant Ninja
Turtles? Yeah, my goodness. The Turtles line goes off there towards the end. Like you get some crazy stuff. And some of the stuff, like I watched that documentary, Turtle Power, and they show some of the stuff that didn't get made, which was pretty crazy. But when you look at they could do anything they wanted with Ghostbusters toys. Like, I was just looking at some guys selling something here locally. They had oh my goodness, there was this like football player looking action figure, but of course you flip him upside down, he becomes this big mouth with these teeth.
Yes.
So I would say Ghostbusters.
Oh my God, Tombstone Tackle. That was Tombstone Tackle. I remember.
I can't believe you remember the name.
Oh
wow.
My God.
Tombstone Tackle. I'd say it's neck and neck. I mean, you could do anything with some mutagen, but I mean, ghosts are ghosts. So they can do some freaky stuff with some of those things.
Well, that actually does tie into a little bit more about our future retrospective, because some of you might be sitting there at home going, well, wait a minute, you said you're going to do one season per month, but there's 5 months left until New Year's. You're missing one, and you're absolutely right. That's because in December, we're going to take a break. We're going to do September season 2, October season 3, November season 4. In December, rather than looking at another season, we're going to be looking at a graphic novel. We are going to review Stranger Things meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This is why comic books exist, folks. You have to understand that you're not going to see something like this on the screen. You are probably going to have to read a comic book about it. And I can't wait. I really can't. I love probably my favorite toy property of all time, my favorite cartoon property.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, watching the TMNT, who have crossed over with a ton of things. Batman, they've crossed over with, I think there's a He-Man line of Turtles toys right now. He-Man line of Turtles toys. So it's, Stranger Things, not off the table. We're going to talk about it.
I actually own Batman versus the Ninja Turtles on Blu-ray. It's one of my favorite animated guilty pleasures. It is so much fun.
I was so glad that they took that and turned that into something animated because, a lot of times you can't get that stuff off the page. And this is, such a great crossover. I'm glad they did that.
I love it. And for the record, if you guys are interested, if you want to go back a little bit further into our archives, Mark Radulich and I did an episode of Comics Stripped where we discussed the graphic novel, the first volume of Batman Meets the Ninja Turtles, and the animated adaptation, where they were similar, where they differed, which is the better version, what's more fun, and our discussions about whether or not Ooze plus the Joker turn him into a hyena or a jackal, because frankly, the artwork, it's kind of hard to tell.
Some of the fun discussions we have on here.
And for the record, if you have a chance to watch the animated movie or check out the graphic novel Batman Meets the Ninja Turtles, I highly recommend both. A lot of fun.
Awesome.
All right. Mr. Starcher, why don't you go ahead and give us your plugs?
Well, once again, absolutely thrilled I got to get on here and talk about Stranger Things. Finally. Yeah, as for myself, listen, if you dig comic books, I have a comic book podcast called the Source Material Comics Podcast, part of the W2M network. If you wanted to go to any YouTube or podcatcher and type in Source Material Comics Podcast, should be able to find that. We have a few shows on the feed, the Source Material Comics Podcast proper, which focuses on comics of any era. Last show that aired was myself and Al Sedano getting together and talking about Quantum and Woody, and finishing out that first iteration of that series, which I think rolled into 2000. And yeah, it was, my goodness, Christopher Priest is an amazing writer. MD Bright was part of this thing, and the humor really is saturated throughout that whole comic, and it's great. So you get an opportunity to listen to me and Al Sedano break it down. And then this past Monday on Unspoken Issues, which is our 90s comic-centric podcast, Unspoken Issues affiliated with the Unspoken Decade, the 90s comic book Facebook page and website as well. Anyway, me and Evan Bevins and Chris Armstrong got together and finished out our third entry into Gimmick Cover Summer. So we did one for each month, June, July, and August. And this one was Fantastic Four, number 371. You may remember it as the completely white or completely red copy of Fantastic Four that has Human Torch, who went Nova. He went Nova, folks. Yes, he went Nova. And he also notorious for introducing the Fantastic Four Sue Storm boob window costume.
Oh, yeah, that.
The introduction. I told Evan, I said the comic was actually colored just fine until they put that panel in there, and then it went up in flames, and that's why. Oh, you suck, Jesse. All right. Anyway, me and Evan Bevins also get together and we talk about Marvel Snap. So if you play Marvel Snap on your phone device, me and Evan drop about, 4 episodes a month, just talking about what happened last season, what's coming up in the next season. We have our top 5s on there. We talk about some of the cards we unlocked. We have a good time. Don't go to it thinking you're going to get a lot of crucial information, because we usually get stuff wrong, but we have a good time doing it. So that is all I have. Oh, tomorrow I'm talking West Wing with Mark. Season 7. I never thought I'd be political man talking a political show, but here I am, and I enjoyed a lot of what I watched with the West Wing. Really good show. So you can check that out. That's happening tomorrow. That's it. I'm done.
All right. If you've been tuning in previously, this wraps up a very long stretch of shows that I've been doing. Last night, Mr. Robert Winfrey and Jason Teasley and I discussed Weapons, which was number 1 at the box office this last weekend. The week before that, we talked Together, the new body horror film. Ooh. This is part of our segments of Damn You Hollywood, which we like to call the Unholy Trinity, which 3 of us talk
Nice.
about horror films. Now, next week on wrong calendar month.
Wrong calendar.
Okay, so on August 20th, I will be back to talk Resident Alien Season 4 with Mark, which I got to find time to binge that over the next few days. Then I get a week off, and then on September 3rd, I'll be coming back to host a discussion with Jason Teasley and our occasional collaborator, Mr. Josh Thino. We're talking Twisted Metal Season 2. Then after that, we're going to be doing another Unholy Trinity review. We're going to be looking at the upcoming adaptation of Stephen King's The Long Walk. And the day after that, September 17th, is when you and I will be back to talk Stranger Things Season 2. Awesome. And I know that we've got some shows coming up in November, because we're going to be looking at Gen V Season 2. I know we had a lot of fun talking Gen V Season 1. Really excited to discuss this and how this is building up to the finale of The Boys. And we're going to be also looking in November at Only Murders in the Building Season 5, I believe it is. So we got that. In the meantime, I'm also going to be looking at Peacemaker and a few other shows that are coming out, because I am watching so much TV that, frankly, my brain has just suddenly turned into a fried egg.
I've been there.
And as for the plugs that pay, let's go ahead and do the Honeysuckle Hustle. I'm going to
Honeysuckle Hustle.
regret that for the rest of his life.
Best song on the Rattleish and Broadcasting album, though. So
Robert said I should figure out how to work the sound bites and actually put the Honeysuckle Hustle chorus in there so I can actually click that before I start my plugs. And I said, to which I said, Mark's never taught me how to use the soundboard because he knows I would abuse the hell out of it.
Hell yes.
Yeah, he's just like, he knows that's not a smart move. So Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We're getting ready to head to Colorado Springs for the Colorado Springs Comic-Con. It's one of our favorite shows. We do it every year. I use my TV mostly as an
Ambilight.
yeah.
Nice.
See, I don't get that luxury. I got so much I got to watch from Mark.
Yeah.
You remember when we were kids and they said too much TV rots your brain?
Here we are podcasting about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Right here, folks. See the rot? You see it? All right. So again, we're heading to Colorado Springs. I mentioned this last night. Normally, this is the part where I say our stores are fully stocked, but we have a little addendum to that, and that is that we have temporarily taken our Clue jewelry off the shop because we had a massive amount of orders for it over the last 2 months, and I literally ran out of tokens.
Oh, wow.
So I'm currently, I just spent this last few days ordering a ton of tokens from every dealer I could find. Our usual dealer has shut down his store for the time being. I think he's on vacation or he's just not restocking. I don't know, whatever his prerogative is. So we've been buying as many as we can. As soon as I have a decent amount of those tokens here, actually in my hands, we will relist the items, specifically the Clue bracelets and the dagger earrings. Those are the items that we did have to take down. So if you've been following and you're wondering, it's like, well, where the heck are those Clue bracelets? They will be back online, I promise. Just got to have a little downtime while I wait for our supplies to be refilled. And as always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, screw you, Twitter, Never Looking Back, and TikTok. So for myself, for Mr. Jesse Starcher, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Hope you had fun. And remember, friends don't lie.